NYPD detectives in a case of mistaken identity, speaking publicly for the first time.
I felt humiliated, disrespected, embarrassed, and I was brutally beaten.
A man walks into a Brooklyn liquor store after a long shift to buy a single bottle of wine. 90 seconds later, he is on the floor, in a pile of broken glass, being punched, kicked, and dragged across the room by two men who never showed him a badge. He had no drugs. He had no weapon. He was not even the person they were looking for. His name is Timothy Brown. He is a home health aide, and right now the city of New York is staring down a $100 million claim because of what you are about to see. My name is Ben, and I am a criminal defense attorney. I am not here to hand you outrage. You can get that anywhere. I am here to show you what the law actually says, line by line, because once you understand a few specific rules, this stops being just a disturbing video and becomes one of the most winnable civil rights cases I have seen in years. So here is what I am going to walk you through. There is one detail about these two officers that makes the city's defense almost impossible, and it is not the beating itself. There is a single piece of paper the NYPD created that night that I believe handed Timothy Brown's lawyers the entire case. I am going to show you why 100 million is not the crazy number it sounds like, using real settlements from arrests exactly like this one. And there is a second man, swept up in the very same operation, who proves this was not one honest mistake. Watch closely, because the people defending these detectives are leaning on one single word, and that word falls apart the second you understand how the law really works.
The other punching him. At one point in the nearly 8-minute video, the detectives drag his body over broken glass bottles. Charges of resisting arrest were later dropped. Brown filing a notice of claim, a precursor to a lawsuit, alleging the officers violated his civil rights. He intends to ask for $100 million in damages.
Am I my business? I'm a taxpaying citizen, and what happened to me should never happen to anyone else.
David, the detectives Vulcan made it.
Let me set the scene with the facts that nobody is disputing. Around 4 in the afternoon, Timothy Brown walks into this liquor store. Two men approach him. They are detectives from a Brooklyn narcotics unit, but here is the first thing I need you to hold on to. They are in plain clothes, no uniform. And the video shows them grabbing him and immediately going hands-on, driving him back into shelves full of glass bottles until he hits the ground. Why does plain clothes matter so much? Because the law looks very differently at a man defending himself from two strangers who grab him with no visible badge versus a man resisting clearly identified police. If Timothy Brown did not know these were officers, and why on earth would he, then his instinct to pull away is not resisting arrest. It is a human being reacting to what feels like a violent attack. That one fact, plain clothes, quietly dismantles the only charge they tried to pin on him.
It's not just the detectives, but supervisors too. It argues Brown's arrest was part of a broader pattern of alleged misconduct. The filing points to another case we reported on. Exclusive video we obtained showed another man, Ronald Maxwell, being taken into custody that day. He tells me he was not charged.
We want to take everything from those police officers, just like they took the dignity away from Mr. Brown.
The filing publicly identifies the two detectives it says were involved. We pulled the Civilian Complaint Review Board, or CCRB, history for each. Detective Vulcan Madden had 12.
Now let us talk about the force. Because every use of force case in this country runs through one Supreme Court decision, Graham versus Connor, decided in 1989. The rule is that force has to be objectively reasonable, based on the threat in that exact moment. And the court gives us 3 questions. 1. How serious was the crime they suspected? They thought he might be an accomplice in a drug buy. They were wrong. But even if they had been right, that is a non-violent suspicion. 2. Was he an immediate threat? A man holding a bottle of wine, surrounded and outnumbered, is not a threat that justifies being driven through glass. 3. Was he actively resisting, or just trying to protect himself from two strangers? And here is the rule that people always skip. The force has to match the threat at the moment it is used. Punching and dragging a confused, outnumbered man across broken glass is not reasonable under any honest reading of Graham. It is the textbook definition of excessive force.
New York City liquor store by 2 NYPD detectives in a case of mistaken identity, speaking publicly for the first time.
I felt humiliated, disrespected, embarrassed, and I was brutally beaten for no reason.
The NYPD says the detectives were conducting an undercover narcotics operation and believed Brown had been involved in a drug deal. One officer holding Brown, the other punching him. At one point in the nearly 8-minute video, the detectives dragged.
And here is the piece of paper I promised you, the one I think wins this case. After they beat him, after they searched him and found nothing, no drugs, no weapon, nothing at all, the NYPD did not simply apologize and let him go. They wrote him up. They issued Timothy Brown a citation for resisting arrest and obstruction. Think hard about why they would do that. To justify the force, they needed him to be the one resisting. So on paper, they turned the victim into the aggressor. But then the Brooklyn District Attorney looked at the exact same evidence and dismissed every single charge. That dismissal is the smoking gun. It is the government itself admitting there was never a case against this man, which means the resisting story they used to justify the beating officially has no legs to stand on. When the official paperwork says one thing and the dismissal says the opposite, that contradiction is exactly what a civil rights jury exists to punish.
The arrest is unfolding. You see two NYPD detectives holding the man by his arms. Then they punch him again and again. The man's head slams into glass bottles. They drag him by his feet. The nearly 8-minute video was taken Tuesday at a liquor store on Hoyt and Baltic.
I pray none of this ever happens to anyone else, and I want justice.
Timothy Brown tells me he was attacked without explanation while buying wine after work. He's a security guard and home health aide.
What did they say?
He said, "You're under arrest." I remember being grabbed.
Now let me be fair, because if I only give you one side, I am no better than the outrage machine. The detective's defense and the comment sections will say the same things. He matched a description. He resisted. You are not seeing the seconds before the camera started, and I will be honest with you, I have not seen every angle, and a longer video may exist. So let us assume, just for the sake of argument, that he did pull away from them. Here is what that argument completely misses. Pulling away from two strangers who never identified themselves is not a crime. And even if it somehow were, mistaken identity is not a defense to excessive force. It is the foundation of the lawsuit. They got the wrong man. That is not a detail that helps them. That is the entire case against them.
That's all I can say.
Tonight, NYPD's Internal Affairs Bureau is investigating. Police Commissioner Jessica Tisch says the officers have been placed on modified duty with their guns and shields removed.
We'll have more to say about it as that investigation unfolds, but I understand the community interest in it because it is an upsetting video.
How did this happen? The NYPD says police were looking for a drug dealer's associate wearing green shorts. They spotted someone nearby who matched that description and tried to arrest him.
And this is where it stops being one man's nightmare and becomes the city's nightmare. Because Timothy Brown was not the only one. A second man came forward saying he was wrongfully swept up in the same Brooklyn drug operation. One mistake is an incident. A pattern is a policy. And there is a Supreme Court case called Monell that says you can sue the city itself, not just the officers, when the harm comes from a pattern or a practice the department allowed to happen. The moment there are two men with the same story from the same unit, Timothy Brown's lawyers are not just suing two detectives. They are putting the entire narcotics unit on trial. That is how a claim climbs to $100 million.
I know God's watching, and I want justice.
Police say they were responding to complaints about an increase in drug sales. During that operation, Timothy Brown was wrongfully arrested. Tonight, a new question. Could there have been a second wrongful arrest?
I don't get in trouble, so, it was really embarrassing.
Ronald Maxwell claims he was picked up at a store near Baltic and Hoyt during the same operation. He says one of the officers who arrested Brown took him in too.
I was ordering a bacon, egg, and cheese. The officer grabbed me and said he was arrested and just put me in handcuffs and dragged me out.
So let us talk about that number, because the outrage videos never actually do. Is 100 million realistic? Probably not. As a final payout, that is, the opening demand in the notice of claim. But here is what these cases actually settle for. New York City paid out $117 million in police misconduct settlements in a single year. Individual wrongful arrest beatings with clear video routinely settle from several $100,000 into the millions. And Timothy Brown has the three things that drive that number straight up. Clear video, no contraband, which proves his innocence, and a permanent injury because he now walks with a cane. Video, innocence, and lasting harm. That combination does not settle for pennies, and the city knows it. That is exactly why those two detectives already had their badges and their guns taken away.
To walk. You can see that he is hobbling and his arm is in a sling. His face is battered and bruised, and he has a black eye. His lawyers say he needed about 36 stitches in his leg that had been sliced open after the two detectives dragged him through broken glass on the floor of that liquor store. You know, that beating happened 2 weeks ago today in a liquor store in Cobble Hill, Brooklyn. Mr. Brown, who is a home health aide as well as a licensed security guard, had stopped in the store about 4 o'clock in the afternoon to buy some wine after work. He says without any warning, the two detectives approached.
And I want you to notice one more thing. The video that exposed all of this did not come from a body camera. It came from other customers in that store, standing there in shock, filming on their phones. These were plainclothes narcotics detectives with no public accountability in that moment. The only reason we are even talking about Timothy Brown is that strangers refused to look away and kept recording. Hold on to that.
Including, quote, abuse of authority. The other detective, Michael Algerio, had 8 complaints dating back to 2013. One was substantiated. Also, quote, abuse of authority. We shared the CCRB complaints with Darren Porcher, a former NYPD lieutenant.
In your view, is this a red flag?
It's conduct that should be spotlighted, meaning there should have been some level of supervisory component that should have at least reviewed and made an assessment as to should we keep these officers.
So here is what this means for you, because most of you clicked this wondering what you would even do if two strangers ever grabbed you like that. Hear me clearly. In that moment, you cannot win the fight, and you cannot win the argument on the floor. You survive it. You comply, you say as little as possible, and you let the camera and a lawyer win it later, in a courtroom, which is exactly where Timothy Brown is going to win this. Because here's the truth this entire case proves. If those customers had not been filming, Timothy Brown would not be suing for $100 million. He would be the man with a resisting arrest charge on his record, and you would have never heard his name. That is why you film. That is why you know your rights. I am Ben, and I will see you on the next one.